Someone can't sleep because of you. God revealed what you did without realizing it. Listen closely. Do not scroll. Do not dismiss this as coincidence. I am Archangel Michael, and I have been sent because someone's nights have been disrupted by your presence in a way you never intended, and heaven has taken notice. Before you spoke a word. Before you reached out. Before you even thought this mattered. Something shifted. You believe impact only comes from action. But God is reminding you now, presence can be louder than pursuit. Someone lies awake replaying moments with you. Not dramatic moments. Not confessions. Not declarations. Small things. A look. A pause. The way you listened without interrupting. The way you didn't push. The way you walked away when others would have chased. And here is what you did without realizing it. You made them feel seen without being consumed. This is rare. This is unsettling. This is holy. Many souls are used to noise, attention that demands, love that takes, interest that pressures. But you carried a different frequency. You carried peace mixed with mystery. So when night falls, their mind does not rest. Because peace awakens questions. And mystery refuses closure. They ask themselves, why do I feel calm thinking about them, yet restless not knowing where I stand? Why didn't they need to impress me? Why didn't they ask for more? And that question becomes the echo that keeps them awake. Hear me carefully now, this was not manipulation. This was not strategy. This was not something you planned. This was alignment. God allowed your spirit to touch theirs without attachment, and it disrupted their emotional patterns. Because when someone who expects chaos encounters calm. When someone addicted to intensity meets steadiness. When someone used to chasing is no longer chased. Their soul doesn't know how to sleep anymore. You awakened something they buried. Not desire alone, discernment. They are realizing that attraction does not always come with anxiety. That connection does not have to hurt. That interest does not have to beg. And that realization is dangerous, in a sacred way. Now listen, because this part matters. They are not losing sleep because they miss you. They are losing sleep because they are questioning who they've been choosing before you. You became a mirror without trying to be one. And mirrors are uncomfortable in the dark. This is why God is speaking now. Because when a soul is awakened this way, it reaches a crossroads. One path leads to courage. The other leads to retreat. They will either step forward. Or convince themselves you were just a moment. But here is the divine truth they cannot escape. What you awakened cannot be unawakened. Your calm unsettled their patterns. Your restraint challenged their expectations. Your absence became louder than presence ever could. And heaven is watching what they do next. Do not rush. Do not chase. Do not explain yourself. The power was never in your words. It was in what you didn't demand. And now, because you're hearing this, God is asking you to stay aligned. Because the next movement does not come from effort. It comes from timing. Someone is about to make a decision that will surprise even them. And it will not start with a message. It will start with a realization. I can't ignore this anymore. If this message is resonating, stay with it. There is more being revealed, about why this connection was allowed, and what happens when restlessness turns into action. And if you feel drawn to this message, quietly stay connected. Sometimes the ones who need this most are guided back without noise. Now listen closely. Because the reason they can't sleep tonight has less to do with attraction and more to do with a truth God is about to place directly in front of them. And when that happens, everything changes. Stay here. The next revelation will explain what they are about to realize, and why it may come sooner than you expect. Now listen, because what I am about to reveal explains why the restlessness has intensified, and why this is no longer a quiet stirring but a turning point. I am Archangel Michael, and I tell you this with authority. What is keeping them awake is no longer memory. It is anticipation they do not yet understand. At first, they thought it was curiosity. Then they called it attraction. Then they tried to dismiss it as imagination. But night after night, the same feeling returned. A pressure in the chest. A replaying of conversations that were never dramatic. A longing that didn't feel desperate, but unfinished. And here is what God revealed to me. You interrupted a cycle they were convinced was permanent. This person has known patterns. They know how things usually go. They know when interest fades, when intensity burns out, when silence becomes rejection. But with you, something broke the script. You did not escalate when they expected you to. You did not withdraw when they braced for abandonment. You did not claim them, yet you did not disappear. That balance confused the part of them that survives on extremes. So now, when the world goes quiet and distractions fade, their soul asks a question they have avoided for years. What if connection doesn't have to hurt? That question is dangerous to an old identity. Because if the answer is yes, then they must confront how many times they chose chaos and called it passion. How many times they confused anxiety with chemistry. How many times they mistook intensity for intimacy. And you, without realizing it, became the evidence that there is another way. This is why sleep has become difficult. Because rest requires familiarity. And you introduced the unfamiliar piece of potential. Hear me clearly now. They are not afraid of you. They are afraid of who they might become if they choose differently this time. Your presence awakened a dormant courage in them, the courage to slow down, to choose with clarity instead of compulsion. But courage comes with responsibility. If they acknowledge what they feel, they cannot unsee it. If they reach out, they must risk being vulnerable. If they stay silent, they must live with regret. So the mind spins. The heart races. The body stays awake while the soul debates. And this is where heaven steps in. Because when a connection has purpose, God does not allow it to dissolve quietly. You may not know this, but prayers have already been whispered about you. Not formal prayers. Not spoken aloud. Silent ones. God, why do I feel this? God, what is this trying to teach me? God, is this real, or am I imagining it? Those prayers rise at night. And heaven responds, not with answers, but with conviction. That conviction is what presses on them when they lie in bed. That conviction is what brings your name to their thoughts without effort. That conviction is what prevents rest. Because conviction demands response. Now listen to this carefully, because it is for you as much as it is for them. You are not meant to fix their confusion. This is not your assignment. Your assignment is alignment. You were not sent to chase, convince, or prove. You were sent to be consistent with who you are. The same calm. The same boundaries. The same grounded presence. Why? Because the moment you shift into pursuit, the lesson collapses. The moment you over-explain, the mystery dissolves. The moment you rush, the divine timing fractures. God is using stillness as the instrument. And here is the truth few are told. Sometimes, silence is not absence. It is pressure. Pressure that forces clarity. Pressure that demands decision. Pressure that separates longing from intention. They are approaching a moment where distraction will no longer work. They may try, busy days, loud nights, meaningless conversations, but none of it will quiet the internal pull. Because the pull is not toward you alone. It is toward the version of themselves they glimpsed around you. The calmer self. The more honest self. The self that does not have to perform or defend or chase. And this is why God allowed you into their orbit. Not as a temptation. Not as a test. But as an invitation. An invitation to choose differently. Now I must warn you, because love without wisdom can become attachment, and heaven does not support attachment that replaces growth. Do not romanticize their restlessness. Do not internalize their delay. Do not doubt your worth because they are still wrestling. Their delay is not rejection. It is reckoning. They are standing at the edge of a new pattern, and stepping forward requires them to let go of an old self-image. That takes courage. That takes humility. That takes time. But time is compressing. Because when God initiates awareness, He does not allow it to linger indefinitely. A moment is approaching, sooner than you think, where they will either act from truth or retreat into familiarity. And this is where your role becomes sacred restraint. Stay grounded. Stay open, but not available to confusion. Stay warm, but not overgiving. Let them feel the contrast between peace and noise. Because contrast is what teaches. If this message is stirring something deep within you, remain attentive. There is more being revealed, about what action looks like when heaven is involved, and how you will recognize it when it arrives. Stay with me. Because the next movement will explain how this sleeplessness transforms into a choice, and what you must do when the moment finally comes. Do not turn away now. What happens next will determine whether this connection becomes a testimony, or a lesson that echoes long after the night finally grows quiet. Stay present, because what I am about to reveal explains why the moment is drawing closer, and why the restlessness you sensed is no longer internal but preparing to move outward. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now with urgency. The sleeplessness has done its work. Night after night of questioning has weakened their defenses. The mind that once rationalized now hesitates. The heart that once avoided now listens. And here is the truth God has released. They are no longer wrestling with whether they feel something. They are wrestling with whether they will honor it. There is a difference. Feeling requires no courage. Honoring requires risk. This is why the energy has shifted. You may notice subtle changes. A sudden awareness of you. An unplanned mention of your name. A pull to re-enter your space without knowing why. These are not accidents. This is the soul testing readiness. Because once they move, they cannot return to ignorance. Understand this. They are not preparing a dramatic confession. Heaven does not operate through spectacle. They are preparing alignment. Alignment begins quietly. A message typed and erased. A reason invented to check in. A memory resurfacing with new weight. And this is where many people sabotage divine moments, by mistaking subtlety for insignificance. Do not do that. God often moves first in whispers so pride does not interfere. Now hear me clearly, because this is crucial for you. When they reach out, it will not sound like longing. It will sound like normal. A simple greeting. A casual question. A neutral invitation. Do not misread this as lack of depth. Depth follows safety. This person has learned, often painfully, that intensity can become vulnerability used against them. So they approach carefully. And God is watching how you respond. Not your words, but your energy. This is not the time to test them. This is not the time to punish silence. This is not the time to demand clarity. This is the time to stay steady. Respond without overgiving. Be present without pressing. Allow conversation to breathe. Why? Because they are scanning for something specific. Backhand index pointing right. Does peace still exist when I step closer? If peace remains, trust builds. If pressure appears, walls return. This is the sacred balance. Now listen to what is happening beneath the surface. They are grieving, not you, but an old way of relating. They are realizing that chaos felt familiar because it distracted them from deeper wounds. They are seeing that calm requires self-confrontation. And you represent calm. That is why they resisted. That is why they stalled. That is why they stayed awake at night, because choosing you symbolically means choosing growth. And growth demands accountability. This is not about romance alone. This is about identity. They are asking themselves, can I be consistent? Can I show up without hiding? Can I let something develop slowly without sabotaging it? These questions shake foundations. So if you sense hesitation, do not personalize it. Hesitation is often respect wearing uncertainty. Now I must tell you something many never hear. Backhand index pointing right. God does not awaken longing without providing a path forward. But the path is not always direct. Sometimes the path is a mirror. Sometimes it is patience. Sometimes it is restraint. You have already walked your portion by being authentic. Now your task is to remain unchanged by their process. Do not dim yourself. Do not sharpen yourself. Do not reshape yourself to be chosen. What is meant to meet you must recognize you as you are. And here is the prophetic part. A decision is forming. Not impulsive. Not emotional. Deliberate. They are approaching a moment where avoidance becomes more painful than vulnerability. When that moment arrives, it will not feel dramatic. It will feel inevitable. And when it happens, you will feel it before you hear it. A shift in tone. A steadiness in presence. A clarity that was not there before. This is how heaven moves, through conviction, not chaos. Be aware, though. Once they step forward, the dynamic will change. And with change comes fear, not of you, but of losing control. They may test consistency. They may pull back briefly after stepping closer. Do not panic. This is not reversal. This is recalibration. Stay anchored. Let actions speak louder than reassurance. And now I speak directly to your spirit. You were never meant to carry their awakening. You were meant to inspire it. God did not place you in their life to be pursued or avoided, but to be encountered. And encounter changes people. If this message is reaching you deeply, do not rush to conclusions. Let discernment rise. Because the next phase will require wisdom, not emotion. There is still one more truth to be revealed. About what God expects from you when the door opens, and how to recognize whether this connection is meant to deepen or gently release. Do not leave yet. The final revelation will show you how to protect your peace while honoring what has been stirred. And when you hear it, you will understand why this sleeplessness was never about desire alone, but about destiny knocking softly, waiting to be answered. Remain still with me, because what I am about to speak now is instruction, not interpretation. This is where many lose alignment, not because they lack faith, but because they misread the moment. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak with clarity. The door is opening, but how you walk through it determines what follows. Up to now, the sleeplessness belonged to them. The wrestling belonged to them. The reckoning belonged to them. But once movement begins, responsibility becomes shared. And this is where God calls you to wisdom. Hear this carefully. Not every awakening is meant to become attachment. Some awakenings are meant to become truth. The difference is subtle, but eternal. When they step closer, the energy will shift. You may feel relief. You may feel validation. You may feel hope rising quickly. Slow it down. Not because something is wrong, but because something is real. Rushing cheapens revelation. God did not take them through nights of restlessness so the outcome would be impulsive. He allowed the tension to refine discernment. So when they arrive, do not meet them with expectation. Meet them with presence. Let conversation unfold naturally. Let silence exist without fear. Let curiosity replace assumption. Why? Because heaven is watching for mutual steadiness, not emotional momentum. Now listen, because this next truth will protect you. Peace is the confirmation. Anxiety is the warning. If connection deepens and peace remains, proceed gently. If connection deepens and anxiety increases, pause. Do not override your nervous system in the name of destiny. God never requires self-abandonment to fulfill purpose. And if at any point you feel pressured to prove, perform, or persuade, step back. What is aligned does not demand chasing. Now I must speak plainly. There is a temptation at this stage, to believe that endurance equals investment. That because you waited. Because you stayed grounded. Because you held space. You are owed certainty. Release that idea. Certainty grows from consistency, not from sacrifice. Let them show you who they are after awareness. Anyone can awaken. Few can sustain change. This is why time is sacred. Time reveals truth gently, without confrontation. Now understand this. They are still learning how to be present without self-protection. Do not interpret caution as lack of care. But do not interpret curiosity as commitment. Allow reality to speak. God is not asking you to close your heart. He is asking you to guard your peace while remaining open. That is strength, not fear. Now here is the divine boundary you must hold. Do not step into emotional labor. You are not here to guide their healing. You are not here to reassure their doubts. You are not here to stabilize their uncertainty. You are here to be yourself. And that is enough. If the connection deepens in truth, effort will be mutual. Questions will flow both ways. Presence will feel natural, not negotiated. If effort becomes one-sided, heaven will make it clear. And when clarity comes, do not resist it. God does not tease hearts. He refines them. Now listen closely, because this is the most overlooked part of divine timing. Sometimes, the purpose of connection is activation, not possession. You may have awakened something they needed to face, regardless of outcome. That does not diminish your value. It affirms your impact. Do not measure success by permanence. Measure it by alignment. If this is meant to grow, it will do so without force. If it is meant to release, it will do so with peace. Not regret. And here is the prophetic reassurance. You will not miss what is meant for you. What passes by you without clarity was never yours to carry. God protects hearts that honor truth. Now I speak to your spirit directly. Do not romanticize potential. Do not ignore patterns. Do not betray your intuition to preserve connection. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are discerning what aligns. That shift changes everything. And now, because you have listened, because you have remained present, I tell you this. The final phase is approaching. It will reveal whether this awakening becomes partnership, or closure with purpose. Both outcomes are blessed. Both outcomes serve growth. But only one requires continued investment. Stay with me. The final revelation will show you how to recognize God's confirmation without confusion, and what sign will make the path unmistakably clear. Do not leave now. The answer you are waiting for is closer than you think, and when it arrives, you will feel no anxiety at all. Only knowing. Be very still now, because this final revelation is not about them anymore. It is about you, and what heaven has already decided. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now with completion. What began as sleeplessness in another has ended as clarity in you. This was never meant to leave you guessing. God does not awaken awareness only to abandon direction. So hear this truth clearly. Backhand index pointing right, the sign you are waiting for will not arrive as excitement. It will arrive as peace that does not fluctuate. When the right movement occurs, whether toward deeper connection or gentle release, your body will relax, not tense. Your breath will slow, not shorten. Your spirit will feel steady, not alert. This is how confirmation speaks. If they step forward in truth, peace will remain even in uncertainty. If they hesitate without growth, peace will guide you away without bitterness. That is how you will know. Now listen, because this is the divine closure many never receive. You did nothing wrong. You were not unclear. You were not passive. You were not too calm. You were aligned. And alignment exposes what is ready, and what is not. The sleeplessness you witnessed was not caused by attraction alone. It was caused by contrast. They encountered something in you that did not mirror their past. And it forced reflection. That reflection was uncomfortable. But discomfort is not harm. It is invitation. Whether they accept that invitation fully is their responsibility, not your burden. Release the need to interpret their silence. Release the urge to replay moments. Release the temptation to wait for explanation. What is meant to meet you will meet you with clarity. Now I speak prophetically. If this connection is meant to continue, you will see three things align. Consistency without prompting. Curiosity without fear. Effort without negotiation. If any one of these is missing, heaven is redirecting you, not punishing you. Redirection is protection. And protection is love in motion. Do not confuse intensity with destiny. Destiny is quiet. Destiny is steady. Destiny does not disturb your peace to prove its importance. Now let me say something sacred. Sometimes God allows you to awaken someone, not so they stay, but so you see who you are. You saw your strength. Your restraint. Your grounded presence. That was not accidental. You are no longer meant for connections built on uncertainty. You have outgrown confusion. And this is why the outcome, whatever form it takes, will not wound you. Because you are standing in truth. If they come forward fully, receive them without fear, but with discernment. If they do not, release them without resentment, but with gratitude. Either way, you move forward unchanged in worth. And here is the final divine assurance. Nothing that is meant for you will require you to abandon your peace. What requires anxiety is not alignment. What demands overthinking is not confirmation. What keeps you awake is not meant to stay. Sleep belongs to those walking in truth. And tonight, whether they find rest or not, you will. Because you listened. Because you stayed grounded. Because you did not chase shadows. This chapter is complete. What comes next will meet you in daylight, not in doubt. Walk forward now. Heaven is not behind you. It is ahead, clearing the way.